we have to be flexible. It can't be an all or nothing game. The West Indies Cricket Board is responsible for cricket from Canada in the north to Argentina in the south. That's the market. That's the market. That's the television market. And we must not sell ourselves short with those rights.
Good day and welcome to the Caribbean Sports Management Entertainment Group, a group which is presenting On Drive. Carl Blankendel from Bermuda and Vernon Springer have teamed up to be able to talk cricket, and not just talk cricket. We're going to be talking CPL cricket, West Indies cricket, world cricket. On Drives brings to you consistency, information, stability, respect, and most of all, a passion to highlight the untold stories of both men and women. And as you know, our motto is never expect, never assume, never ask, and never demand. Just let it be. If it is meant to be, it will happen with God's grace. Our special guest on Drive conversation is a cricket enthusiastic, a cricket analyst, somebody who would have played the game, but has been underrated. Didn't have to play for the West Indies, didn't have to play Test cricket, but trust me, he's one of the finest minds around the world. His name is Chesley Hamilton from St. Kitts and Nevis, and we bring you greetings from On Drive. Welcome, sir.
Well, Vernon, thanks for the introduction and thanks for having me on your program. I hope I could live up to the introduction, but thanks for having me, and I'm happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Chesley Hamilton's cricketing career. And you would have played some cricket in St. Kitts and Nevis. You played in Canada. You played in England. But just to pick your brains, your top moments playing cricket.
Well, I played cricket throughout North America, and I've played cricket in St. Kitts and Nevis, a little bit in Montserrat. Yes, some in Antigua as well. But I was not very successful when it came to being selected. I played, interestingly enough, I was in a squad against some Bermudans for the Antigua youth team with Guy Yarwood some time ago in Antigua. I did play a little cricket in Montserrat for the Montserrat Secondary School, etc., with guys like Keith Stone Graves and others. So I did play a little cricket, but didn't go too far. Got left out. I went into the police force early in my career and got picked in the first 12. Luther Kelly captain. He left me out as 12th man. I said, well, hey, I would get my turn when Luther when he goes off to play for the Leewoods. He did. There was another 12. I got left out again. I said, well, that's okay. I will get a game. Interestingly enough, that was around the Grenada Revolution time. 5 or 6 members of the team got sent off to Grenada, and another 12 was picked. And again, Chesley was left out. So I said, nah, that's enough. Those were the days when you had to play club cricket. Once you finish playing club cricket, you get picked for the island team in about June. Then you may get in if you had a good Leeward Island tournament. You get into the squad for St. Kitts team. You get into the Leeward Islands team. You still had to deal with Combined Islands. So that's a 3-year process. So if I was 19 at the time, I decided, no, I wouldn't have a cricketing career if I can't even get into my club team. You know, I played youth cricket. Interestingly enough, again there, something was saying that cricket is not your career, my friend, because of all the guys who played, I was the only one not to get a chance to bat. And then Lewis and Mark Bowers got an opportunity to bat twice. You know where Mark Bowers end up. You know where Lewis from Antigua ended. I mean Lawrence, not Lewis. Lawrence from Antigua ended up. So those were the days when four guys from that squad end up on the West Indies cricket team. I think I could have equaled any of them. But hey, cricket was not supposed to be my career, so I ended up in Canada and went into the law. So I still have a passion for it. I hold myself out to be a good spectator, and I take my spectating very seriously. In fact, there is a story where the Leeward Islands that year when Stuart Williams and Renarco made a lot of runs. I happened to see them for the first time. I think it was 2001. Yeah, 2001. In Trinidad, where I had the glasses on, I had a suit on. I don't look at cricket from the pavilion, so I went around by the Carib scoreboard, and I was around there looking at the game, and literally was calling Imran Jan no balls. And the umpire at the time thought that I was an official from the Leeward Islands Cricket Board. So that was the issue. I was calling the no balls and so on. In the end, the same umpire was officiating when the Leeward Island played Guyana in that game that got rained out. When Hooper and Stuart Williams decided that they can bring in the fence, the boundary, and still play the game and continue. This is a story being told to me by Ingleton Libert, who was the manager. The umpire said, "No, you brought an umpire, you brought an official of the Leeward Island board to embarrass me in Trinidad, so I'm not having the game go on." So that caused the Leeward Islands a trophy that year. So I'm just letting you know, I take my spectating seriously. I am known to probably talk through every over and every ball that is bowled when I'm looking at cricket. But yeah, I love the game, and I still have the passion for it.
Carl, trust me, we could talk for hours with Chesley, but we're gonna have a good conversation. But today we're here
But
to talk about the
I have looked at cricket from Sky Dome in Toronto to Border in Guyana, and almost everywhere in between. The Virgin Islands, the St. Martin, Anguilla, St. Kitts, Antigua. I've looked at cricket in St. Vincent, in Grenada, in Trinidad, Guyana, and even in Tobago. Barbados as well. I've never been to Jamaica and never seen a game in Jamaica, but it's on the bucket list.
don't worry, it's not too far around. But we're talking CPL. We've
Yes,
just
let's talk
completed the ERA Caribbean Premier League. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, after 5 tries, have finally been crowned champions. Chesley, tell me about the Hero Caribbean Premier League, 33 games played at Warner Park. Give me your insight as to what you saw. There were a number of pundits around the region who were talking about the pitches, talking about how small Warner Park is, but I know you understand the cricket, so I will allow you to deal with that.
And let me first put it this way. Remember, the franchise was first in Antigua, and at a time when CPL may have faltered because the Antigua franchise wasn't able to continue, the franchise moved to St. Kitts with input from the St. Kitts government and others from the private sector. And CPL, having gotten that lifeline, continue to flourish. And I think that it's now time that CPL recognize the input of the Patriots and other franchise, whether they're thinking of expanding or they're now breaking records with viewership. They now need to look at how they're going to invest so that the product can continue to improve, the product can continue to grow, not just in terms of their financial bottom line, but in terms of the quality of cricketers that are coming through. Let's pivot to Warner Park. The real MVP of the CPL. The MVPs are the ground staff that was able to produce on the Warner Park strip. and on the square, 33 games within a 20-day period. And I would say there was one complaint I was made to understand by the Barbados cricket team. And even at that point in time, if Barbados did what they were supposed to do, that game too, they could have won. Because I don't believe that they were able to hold on to their catches and when their turn came in the field. But apart from that game, all the other games were competitive, more often than not, created good batting strip. And I simply would say, and again, hail the Dave Agnew, Steadroy, Steady, and the entire grounds crew as the real MVPs of the CPL this year. To produce 33 games on that strip, plus the outfield remained lush and green, and up to the last game, you had people diving on the field because of the quality of the outfield. So I would say St. Kitts, as a field, is one of the only grounds if you have rain, and I would say rain, you could then, after the rain stopped, within an hour, have play starting again because of the drainage and the quality of the ground. So yes, the ground is small, but in terms of the cricket that it's able to produce, the logistics, the players, the teams, everybody loves it in St. Kitts because in truth and in fact, the hotel, the airport, the ground, everything is within a half an hour drive, and the convenience, the logistics, everything is right there, and it's very, very small is an advantage when it comes to St. Kitts and cricket.
Now let's touch the actual play. And for you, there were 3 centuries. There were over 300 and had sixes. We had over 700 and had boundaries. But your general play, what did you see that you liked?
Well, it's just that there was such true pace and bounds throughout the game that once you were willing to apply yourself, you could bat. And it showed. Even when bowlers think that they could short pitch, guys were up to the task. The ball carried, it came on. There was something for the spinners if you were willing to take the pace off. And if you were willing to bowl cross seams, you were able to get something out of it. Now, as small as the ground is, you go back and look at the statistics and see how many people were out caught trying to clear those small boundaries. And you recognize that it was good cricket in spite of what anyone would think. And let's talk about small boundaries. There are fields in New Zealand and other places that are way smaller, but I don't hear the commentators lamenting about it. There are grounds which are smaller, but you don't hear. International grounds, but you don't hear the commentators lamenting about it. I do believe that now that the Headley stand is built, I do believe that the Headley stand has compromised Sabina Park, and you don't hear them speaking about that.
When your body is challenged, it burns fuel and energy. Respond to every challenge with Altitude Sports Drink. It replenishes, restores, and prepares you for the next level. Altitude is uniquely formulated with an electrolyte blend and magnesium available in fruit punch, blue frost, and grape. Altitude. Raise your game.
Dem Sports is an innovative sports equipment manufacturer specialising in the production of high-quality sports nets and cages for clubs, universities and schools. The development of a Dem Sports concertina cage, either as a single or double-width sports net, has helped schools in inner-city areas where space is a premium to include sports such as cricket and tennis in the curriculum in a safe and enjoyable way.
The nets were developed really for when we had schools with a problem with space, so it could be used in limited areas. It folds back to the wall to a minimum of 550 millimetres and pulls out to 8 metres just over.
This sort of equipment is exactly the solution that many head teachers will look to use. It is space saving, it is easy to operate, it is relatively low cost, and again, the impact of having provision within the school grounds is a real plus point.
Dem Sports are the world leaders in sports nets for schools. They have a range of net sizes to suit all spaces and can custom build whatever you require. For more information on how we can help you transform your play space at school safely, quickly and affordably, contact Dem Sports for details.
Amazing. Chesley, your high point of, I know you talked about the ground staff, but from a bowling perspective, let's start with the bowlers first. Give me your 5 top bowlers or your top moments that you saw. You talked about pace, and we started with the fast bowlers first, and then we'll go into the spinners. Your top moments.
What's his name there from the Windward Island put down a spell of bowling one morning? Man, Thomas. Woo. Thomas.
You're talking from Barbados, O'Shane Thomas.
O'Shane Thomas, yes. O'Shane Thomas.
Yes.
Wow. I don't believe that he was handled well. More often than not, they had him bowling from the southern end. But with that kind of pace, I would have trusted him from the top end more often than not. I don't think that anybody could handle him if he bowled from that top end. And if he came back for his second spell and you give him an opportunity to bowl some cross seamers where he could mix it up, I think he could be a real handful for anybody. I just believe that these guys need talking to. What I saw Bravo did with the bowling attack for the Patriots, where he literally went to mid-on and were literally coaching them through, not over by over, but literally ball by ball. That is what needs to be done with guys like Thomas when they are in the middle of a battle. But Thomas, I was very impressed with the growth throughout the tournament with Joseph, Alzari Joseph. I saw him use the front arm a little bit more, the left hand. I do believe that Alzari Joseph is bowling and he's steering the ball with the right hand. He must begin to steer the ball with the left hand. Once he begins to do point and shoot, as Len Harris would say to us, Spring, once he begins to point and shoot with the front arm, Alzari will be the next Courtney Walsh of the West Indies. Remember that phrase. Alzari will be the next Courtney Walsh of the West Indies. And when I say that, I mean his bowling, not his batting. Because his batting is, right now, technically his batting is above par for where he bats. But Alzari Joseph, no, that's two. Smith, I understand that he did not pass his fitness test for selection for the West Indies cricket team. I don't know when that was, but hey, man, Smith has a lot to offer off of that short run. And the West Indies has a lot to look forward to. My biggest surprise in the bowling is that I think Cornwall must probably bowl 1 over in the tournament. I cannot see how the top bowler, Cornwall, with his height and bounce, I cannot see your bowl chase a lot, yes, but I do believe that St. Lucia missed the trick by not bowling Cornwall. And the disappointment was the fact that they were doing that so that perhaps they can send him off the field and have someone come on and field for him who is a little bit more mobile. But the Patriots won the tournament and Chris Gayle was not all that mobile. So I don't see the need for trying to do things like that. Duplessis batted many times as well and did not feel. So I think it's a ploy within the Kings organization, and I think it's one that they need to get rid of, you know, because it costs them in the long run. The spinners, there were some very good spinners locally. St. Clair and Bishop. I think young Bishop has a lot to offer. The thing, he needs to understand that as a young man, he needs to bowl from different areas of the crease, close to the wicket, wide of the wicket. And if he does that, he will be, he will go a lot further. He just cannot bowl from one spot on the crease, because that is making it easy for the batsmen. The batsmen already know your line. They only have to pick length. So once you start to change the line by coming closer or going wide, then it gives them something different to look at. By and large, you know, Superman, Mr. Allen, he was great. I just didn't want guys like Andre Russell to break down. They created spurts where you have to think. In terms of a disappointment, I would think that Jason Holder could have been a lot more attacking, and Barbados would have reached a lot further. He refused to put in the slip. He refused to apply pressure. And that's the hallmark and the difference between the Pollard's captaincy and his captaincy, the Bravo captaincy. These guys were putting guys under the bat and were coming up with guys caught in the leg chop and things like that. I'm just showing you, sometimes you have to force the issue and make things happen. You can't always create pressure by thinking scoreboard pressure alone. Sometimes you have to get into the minds of the batsmen. And I see Pollard, he wasn't even entrusting the helmet in leg chop to anyone else. And I could assure you, he wasn't under the helmet just feeling. He was definitely under the helmet, giving the batsman a mouthful, an earful, so that he may do something that he shouldn't do and get them out of their game. So those are the sort of things that I really liked and appreciate. You would like me probably to comment on young Jakes. I think that young Jakes has to bowl from around the wicket, or learn to bowl from around the wicket to the right-hander. He did bowl well, but his batting was the revelation. And I think that Bravo, working with him and showing confidence and giving him the opportunity to come early and all of that sort of thing, is producing another batsman who is a left-hander who you can now bring to bat behind the keeper, to bat at number 8, number 9. I say West Indies cricket is looking good. The youngsters, we just need to turn them loose on the wall. We don't have to wait to turn them loose. The youngsters, they have the cricket. We just have to make sure that we put the necessary coaching in place. It is not the talent. Spring, it is not the talent. We have the talent. At most, the only little flaw I see in West Indies cricket in terms of the batting is understanding the guy's mechanics. Too many of our cricketers, the center of gravity too high. They're not lowering the center of gravity on their trigger move. And as long as they do that, whether you're short or tall, you always need to lower your center of gravity, because that's what allows you to get closer to the ball. It allows you to play it on the front foot, play it under your eye, or play it late. If they do that on the trigger move, the West Indies will again be competitive and within the top 4 in all forms of the game. Let me say it again. All forms of the game. That's it. It is not their search selection, it's not their talent, it's not their ability. It's simple. When guys can put your bat speed and your foot movement and chart it on a graph and show you what you're doing, where your bat is coming from, what sort of ball, how you play it, whether you play the ball with the inside half of your bat or the outside half of the bat. When guys are bringing science to play, what we have to do is to put ourselves in the best position to make sure that we have those tolerances in our favor. And you cannot get those tolerances in your favor unless you lower your center of gravity as a batsman.
Chesley, let me just pick back your brain. I like the look of Goodish Moti from the Ghana Amazon Warriors. And I also want to get into your mind to find out. Narayan played close to about 10 games, about 42 overs, 2 maidens, 13 wickets, 175 runs. What is the challenge, Chesley, for Caribbean batsman playing Sunil Narayan?
Well, you know, Narayan is good. And he knows his game. Narayan hides the ball so you're not pick him easily. The other thing you have to do is, because Narayan hides the ball and he brings his hands over one time, you have to get to your trigger move before Narayan gets to the highest point of his ball. Because if Narayan gets to the highest point, he has already beaten you before you get to your trigger move, because then you are reacting to him. The guys who played Narayan good are moving, they're sweeping, they are through their trigger move before Narayan gets to his point where Narayan can hit his spots before you. Even if you don't know which way Narayan is going, the fact that you are true to your trigger move before him, you can get to the pitch, you can reduce it by getting to the pitch of the ball and hitting it where you want to hit it. Or if you don't know, you can sweep. You can play with a crossbar shot. But that is it. You have to get to your trigger move before Narayan reaches highest point.
And you think that is just one of the fundamental errors, which is he continues to bamboozle most of the Caribbean batsmen?
Because you are allowing him to hit his spot and you're trying to pick him off the wicket. You can't do that. He has reduced the opportunities for you to do that by hiding the ball, by getting through it in one flow, and therefore, by doing all of that, he's able to go both ways. So I am simply saying you have to put yourself in a better position where Narayan is reacting to you as opposed to you reacting to Narayan.
You talked about captaincy, and we had 4 Caribbean captains on show. DJ Bravo, Kyron Pollard, Jason Holder, Nicholas Puran, and then, you know, we would have also had Ravman Powell.
End up running St. Lucia's team as well.
Yeah, so we had 5 Caribbean captains on show, Faf du Plessis, and then we had Andrew Fletcher.
Right, there you go.
In light of what we're seeing, Chesley.
Was it Lewis?
It was Andrew Fletcher.
Andrew Fletcher, okay.
Yeah. In light of what you're seeing, Chesley, you made a very important point. You have somebody like Kyron Pollard who plays mind games. And then you have a DJ Bravo whose style is completely different. He's like a teacher. He's like the master. He understands the concept. Pollard is a more aggressive guy. Then you have Nicholas Puran, who's fast, learning and emerging, because he would have come out of the Bravo Pollard era in terms of what is happening. In light of that, Chesley, I was very much impressed with Andrew Fletcher, even though in my own mind, he might have maybe made some mistakes, but to be able to come in at the point in time, you could tell that his experience around the world helped him during some of the tenures. On hindsight, somebody might say, Chesley, in the final over, would you have gone for Chase or gone for Williams? I just want to get your thought process.
Well, you also had Azar Jovis if only bowled 3 overs. You understand? And again, I'm going to say Cornwall bowled none. You know, so I'm going to tell you, he had a certain mindset. And he wasn't moving from it. And I think that there were times when you could see Chase going and giving him suggestions. I saw at one time Alzari Joseph ran from mid-on all the way up to say something to him, and I didn't see one adjustment in the field. And to me, those are the sort of things. I do believe that Andre Fletcher, though he was successful, I believe that I wouldn't put him in the same group as the others. He may have done a great job. The team was successful, but I do believe that Spring, you would be surprised if I told you that I picked the St. Lucia and the Patriots to be in the top 3 when I heard heard the squads announced. I didn't know what was the third team. whether it was going to be a Guyana, Trinidad, or Jamaica. I really didn't know. But I would say to you, I picked the St. Lucia franchise and the Patriots to be in the top 3 before a ball was bowled in the tournament. And to see that Cornwall didn't bowl in the entire time, they were without Duplessis in some of the matches, and they still end up in the final. They beat the Patriots twice. It only shows how correct I was about the St. Lucia team. Then you see what the Patriots were able to do on their home turf. So it was a matter of who else would rise to the occasion.
When your body is challenged, it burns fuel and energy. Respond to every challenge with Altitude Sports Drink. It replenishes, restores, and prepares you for the next level. Altitude is uniquely formulated with an electrolyte blend and magnesium available in fruit punch, blue frost, and grape. Altitude. Raise your game.
Dem Sports is an innovative sports equipment manufacturer specialising in the production of high-quality sports nets and cages for clubs, universities and schools. The development of the Dem Sports concertina cage, either as a single or double-width sports net, has helped schools in inner-city areas where space is a premium to include sports such as cricket and tennis in the curriculum in a safe and enjoyable way.
The nets were developed really for when we had schools with a problem space, so it could be used in limited areas. It folds back to the wall to a minimum of 515 millimetres and pulls out to 8 metres just over.
This sort of equipment is exactly the solution that many head teachers will look to use. It is space saving, it is easy to operate, it is relatively low cost, and again the impact of having provision within the school grounds is a real plus point.
Dem Sports are the world leaders in sports nets for schools. They have a range of net sizes to suit all spaces and can custom build whatever you require. For more information on how we can help you transform your play space at school safely, quickly and affordably, contact Dem Sports for details.
Caribbean Sports Entertainment Management Group. Caribbean Sports Management Entertainment Group. We're talking to Chesley Hamilton, and we're talking about the just concluded Hero Caribbean Premier League. And Carl, I know your thought process is flowing, and Chesley's here, wealth of knowledge. Let me hear from you in terms of you trying to pick Chesley's brain.
Let me say, in finishing the point about the captains, let me say something. I do believe that Jamaica and Russell, I just was wishing that the team didn't falter or Russell didn't break down, but that team had too much talent to not be able to do a little better. They had the American leg spinner. They didn't give him a go. I don't know why a gentleman like Jermaine Blackwood cannot get the squad, seeing the trouble they had in the early, the top half of their batting. Why somebody like that cannot be given an opportunity to play white ball cricket, even for Jamaica. Those are some of the observations that I made about the Jamaica squad. That, they probably could have, should have done a little better. They relied too much on Andre Russell coming at the back end to bail them out. And I would have hoped that they would have had somebody else or try to see if they could have gotten another genuine batsman who will play a genuine cricket inning much like what Chase was able to do for St. Lucia, to take them through, rather than going for all the guns and hoping that they will be able to fire from number 1 to number 11. I do believe that Jamaica, with the talent that they have, should have done a little better.
Yes.
Saying that.
Good information. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, no. Good information. A lot of on-field tactics discussed here. The technical side, I believe you were talking about the importance of analysis for the West Indian players, for them to, see where the ball's coming, to make their movement before and not after the bowler has released the ball. But I want to move into the commercialization of the CPL. I was reading some blogs online to our partner entity, the West Indies Beyond 2020 group that's on Facebook, and a lot of comments were made about it's time to expand the CPL. And the expansion was said, should we have a team from the United States be part of the franchise movement? What is your feeling about that?
Well, you see, it's a matter of cost. Now, when all of the teams were in St. Kitts and the tournament is in one area, and we have shown you that it can be done this way, there's tremendous savings from flights, from venues, from all of these other things. Now, what are you doing with that saving? You have increased your revenue in terms of your television market. So what do you want to do? Go into a franchise, move the game to the States where the US dollar is going to be what is on offer, or you want to expand to Grenada? Antigua, I understand, is making a pitch to get back a franchise. What should it be? CPL has to improve the product, and it can't be cheap on the investment side. Why don't we have reviews? Why don't we have ball tracking? Why don't we have sticker and these other technologies? It costs probably $500,000 US for it. Why are you not spending the money to get that sort of thing in the game so that we can get it accurate? When betting and match fixing and all of these things are hovering over your head, you must get it right. Otherwise, you're going to destroy the product. And they cannot spare the dollar by not simply asking for another sponsor. There are major telecommunications, there are major private sector entities within the Caribbean who can say every time there is a review, here comes the Vernon Springer review. If the Vernon Springer has the $500,000 US, here, and it will be going around the world. But there are financial institutions in the Caribbean, there are telecommunication companies, there are petro dollars out there, all of these insurance companies and other things who will need the financial platform. The St. Kitts Nevis government and its citizenship by investment program, all of those could be part of making sure that that investment is made so that there is a return on that investment. So I am simply saying that the CPL owners can't continue to be cheap and just looking at the bottom line and the takeaway. But the product, they have to grow this product. And they have a great opportunity because after the CPL came is the IPL. After the IPL is coming the World Cup, the T20 World Cup. With those sort of lead-ins and markets, CPL has no excuse not to spend the money, none whatsoever.
Secondly, CPL product that's growing, becoming more international. How is important for this in the development of the youth in the West Indies? Because, the big sport in the West Indies, you have cricket, but you also have football, FIFA, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, the past heroes, the White York. Now you have Leon Bailey. How important is it for the CPL to keep the young people interested in the game of cricket?
There is money in cricket. CPL needs to also get the University of the West Indies involved. I have one of the new cricket balls that was played and debuted here in St. Kitts with the computer chip in it. Technology came to it. So St. Kitts was the first venue to have that ball with the chip in it as part of the development. So that's a first. The venue was the first to host 33 games all in one venue and a tournament like that. There were lots of firsts, but what CPL has to continue to do is to probably pair with the University of the West Indies, offer scholarships, so a youngster could not only have a cricketing career, but he could do cricket marketing. He could do, Mr. Dave Agnew came in from Australia/New Zealand to be the curator of the grounds and to help with the wickets. But there must be a science that one will begin to understand soil management and landscaping and so on, so that the West Indies cricket, the University of the West Indies could offer these courses, whether as a minor or a major, so that we could now have these a full scholarship to the University of the West Indies. You play with the colleges and the universities team. All major sports have a feeder program called the university program, whether it's baseball, American football, soccer, cricket, the Oxford and the universities team that play. We have to do the same in the West Indies, where we integrate the best brains. We can't be playing cricket and our best brains and minds are discouraged from being a part of it, or there is no incentive. If you want to be a doctor, Villatori, I think, is a doctor. Colin Croft is a pilot. McGrath, I understand, was also a pilot. So we have guys who had qualifications, but you're forcing them more often to choose between academics and sport. I think they can do both. And the University of the West Indies has to step up to the plate. And if it takes CPL collaborating with the university so that we can begin to be encouraged that young people can get a scholarship to the university, whether it is the college in the Bahamas, whether it's the one or the campus in Antigua, the campus in Jamaica, Barbados, or Trinidad. One of these campuses must be able to say, listen to me, we are going to have a budgeting sports program coming out of this. It is not right that most of our athletic sprinters, even if they're Jamaican, the colleges that they represent are American colleges, and very few are representing Jamaican schools. That can't be right. The University of the West Indies and the governments within the region are missing the ball in terms of making sure that we don't have a brain drain to those colleges and a talent drain, but we could get it and have it here to nurture within the Caribbean.
Okay. One final question from me. How important is this CPL tournament, which has been a success for the final selection of players to the West Indies T20 squad? I've seen a lot of comments on the blogs about who should be in the team and who should be out. How important was this tournament for any final selection?
Well, the CPL was important. It's important that our cricketers would be informed going into the IPL and going into the T20 World Cup. I just hope that they're not burnt out by the time they reach there is any injuries. But with the science and the management, the people management and so on, the nutrition, the bubbles and all these sort of things, the money that is in the game, I think that they should be able to manage the process and manage the team. I saw the Patriots manage Evan Lewis well by resting him the game before. I would think that he probably got a nice bat and so on and was out for the next game. But you could see people need management, and it is good for selection, but I want to praise, when you talk about the West Indies and the CPL, I want to praise what Ricky Skerritt has done by allowing the bigger pool of players to be available for selection. Too often, sport administrators think that the game is about them. No, the game is not about them. The game is about the players. The players, that's the product. And from the days when we gave Brian Lara an ultimatum, you can't be with Mbomile, you have to be with Digicel. From the days when we gave other people, look at what the U.S. basketball was able to do. The U.S. team was sponsored by Reebok, and Michael Jordan is Nike, but Michael Jordan took the American flag and put it over the Nike over the Reebok emblem on the jersey, and that was okay. Look at what is in football. No matter who is sponsoring Manchester United or who or whatever jersey they have, the players are allowed to wear whatever boots they want because they have endorsements. We have to be flexible. It can't be an all or nothing game. The West Indies Cricket Board is responsible for cricket from Canada in the north to Argentina in the south. That's the market. That's the market. That's the television market. And we must not sell ourselves short with those rights. Yeah, the Indian market is good and big. For instance, CPL wanted the game start at 10 o'clock because it's 7 o'clock in India, prime time in India. But if you have that audience, you could have started the game at midday and have all sort of preludes and reviews and all sort of analysis leading up to a 9 o'clock start in India, and you'd still have the same audience. And by starting at 12, perhaps the local government would have been able to give a half day, and you would have had a better crowd for the locals. We have to be smart when we negotiate these things, and it can't be an all or nothing. And these are the sort of things that we want coming into the understanding. Come back to the point and the question about selection of teams. That is why I'm simply saying Nicholas Pooran does not have to play red ball cricket for him to play test cricket. Come on. Evan Lewis doesn't have to play that cricket. We need to give these guys the opportunity. We need to widen the pool for selection so that even the guys who are there now will be competing with other guys based on availability. And their availability will create a natural rotation. We wouldn't have to say, like England, oh, we are only playing this team and we're resting this person. The guys' availability and not availability in the pool will create the natural pool for selection so that we can rotate our players in and give them the necessary rest. When you're playing cricket continuously, you can't burn out the test players, you can't burn out the one-day cricketers, you can't burn out. But as they are available with a bigger pool, we'll be able to give some a rest, some in the rotation, or pace bowlers and so on, because we have a bigger pool. We wouldn't have guys breaking down like Gabriel. We wouldn't have all of these sort of niggles and so on, because we have a bigger pool available for selection. So I'm hoping that coming out of what we have learned from the T20 setup and the franchise setup, that going into the selection of the West Indies cricket teams and so on, we will widen the pool and stop saying that guys like this can't play the longer version of the game. Guys would be willing to do that if you give them the flexibility of still playing some of the short, getting their contract, making the money out there, and then still playing for you on retainer contracts or whatever it takes to secure their performances. I think that can be done. We just need to think outside the box. We need to be flexible, and we need to make sure that when the West Indies when we are represented, our best cricketers are available for selection, and we put the best product out there, because the whole game need the West Indies. The whole game need the West Indies. Let me repeat it. And Vernon, on my bucket list is a boxing day test down under. And trust me, I want it to be the West Indies versus Australia.
Thank you. Back to you, Ryan.
You're listening and viewing On Drive on the Caribbean Sports Management Entertainment Group website. And our cricket analyst today is Chesley Hamilton, giving his insight thoughts on the just concluded Hero Caribbean Premier League and West Indies cricket. I'm going to switch back a little bit to the Hero Caribbean Premier League, because this is a discussion that Chesley and myself have been having for a number of years. In fact, the St. Kitts Nevis 13 and under tournament, along with Noel Gishard, Clem Hicks, the late Edgar Gilbert, and some of the other ministry coaches. When I came back from England, Chesley was one of the persons who really inspired me to be able to have that tournament. And out of that tournament would have produced a number of test players. In fact, for Chesley, that was like his homecoming, because we were able to see people like Tyrone Powell, Craig Brathwaite, Shamar Brooks, the Devon Thomas, the Raheem Cornwall, the Carlos Brathwaite, you name it, the Omari Banks, the Jamal Hamilton, all of those guys come to a system where Tyrone Powell was scoring 100 at 9 years old at the 13 and under level. We're talking about development. Chesley always reminds me, and anybody who's involved in sports knows, that it takes you 15 years to produce a world champion. The Cornwalls are 28 today. The Kyron Powell, the Craig Brathwaite, the Shamar Brooks, all those guys would have come through that organized program. That program brought you cricketers from Bermuda, Anguilla, Montserrat, Trinidad and Tobago. We also had folks from Dominica, Anguilla, Barbados, who was the cream of the crop. In fact, there was a fallout with Adrian Donovan and the Barbados Sports Council and the Barbados Cricket Board because the Joel-led Garner administration wanted the Barbados team to stay at a hotel. The Barbados Sports Council decided that the Newtown community was their home. That was their Marriott hotel. So they adopted the Newtown community. You know what happened, Cal? These guys lived in a community center along with parents who came there and they had responsibilities. They used to learn how to cook. They used to learn how to wash. They lived in the community. When you heard the St. Kitts Nevis 13 and under tournament coming to St. Kitts and Nevis, the entire community of Newtown welcomed the Barbados team. That was what it is. But it taught them morals which they're not being taught today. And they weren't sheltered. Now we have a system where folks are telling you, well, if my son is not staying at a hotel, he's not going to any cricket tournament. We're ending up in a vacuum where we're asking managers and coaches who don't know what is going on with those youngsters to be able to try to see if they can get into their door. But when you have them in a community setting where you can monitor and you can watch them, then it is more controlled. And so I'm saying the Hero Caribbean Premier League franchises have to do more for development of the game in the Caribbean, both male or female. And it can't be a lip service. Where is the next Kyron Pollard going to come from? Where is the next DJ Bravo going to come from? Where is the next Kezwan Archibald going to come from? Where is the next Devon Thomas going to come from? Where is the next Andrew Russell going to come from? We must have a base. And
Bonan,
supporters to come for the base.
Bonan, you're forgetting that in 2001, I wrote a paper. Back then, the female game was going around with sheets begging money to represent the West Indies. And in that paper, I said, wherever there are women and children, the men will follow. And we also need the night game. Once you get the night game, you get the community involved. And that was before the World Cup. That was before many of the grounds had lights. And I wrote that paper and I circulated it in 2001 during the India West Indies series, asking people to develop the night game and develop the female game because that's the future of the game. It is when we bring those two communities, you have to bring the female. Because wherever female are and children are, you have a growing thing. Wherever only men are, you have a dying species, a dying game. So I'm just simply saying to you, it is so important that we develop the female game, provide the scholarship, provide the money, the mentorship, provide the input from the community because people work and people have to work throughout the day many times. So it's so important that you get the night game so that the community gets involved in the night game. And it can become an outing, it could become a family, it could become the dating and so on. So that is why it's so important that we develop the night game. And based on how you work or how you play, then you can participate. So it's important that we get the community back in the sport. Otherwise, people are going to say, boy, I need to make $1 here. I can't go and play because that's play and this work. We have to see that there is way of reward and value and return on investment, no matter which avenue you choose for your career or for your vocation.
When your body is challenged, it burns fuel and energy. Respond to every challenge with Altitude Sports Drink. It replenishes, restores, and prepares you for the next level. Altitude is uniquely formulated with with an electrolyte blend and magnesia available in Fruit Punch, Blue Frost, and Grape. Altitude. Raise your game.
Dem Sports is an innovative sports equipment manufacturer specialising in the production of high-quality sports nets and cages for clubs, universities and schools. The development of the Dem Sports concertina cage, either as a single or double-width sports net, has helped schools in inner-city areas where space is a premium to include sports such as cricket and tennis in their curriculum in a safe and enjoyable way.
The nets were developed really for when we had schools with a problem space, so it could be used in limited areas. It folds back to the wall to a minimum of 515 millimetres and pulls out to 8 metres just over.
This sort of equipment is exactly the solution that many head teachers will look to use. It is space saving, it is easy to operate, it is relatively low cost, and again the impact of having provision within the school grounds is a real plus point.
Dem Sports are the world leaders in sports nets for schools. They have a range of net sizes to suit all spaces and can custom build whatever you require. For more information on how we can help you transform your play space at school safely, quickly and affordably, contact Dem Sports for details.
Chesley, there's a major cry. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots would have won the championship. And we're talking home now. Home means the Leewards, the OECS, because we're also hearing the same cry in St. Lucia, where folks are saying, well, we don't have anybody from St. Kitts on the team, we don't have anybody from Nevis on the team, and we don't have anybody from this on the team, but this is franchise cricket. How you feel about the game locally? Because with all the cricket coming to the region, we still need to showcase home talent.
Well, you see, there has to be something more than just the CPL. There might have to be a T20 tournament in the Leewards, which will allow certain people to put up their hand. The Stanford T20 was good for one thing. The Stanford T20 had St. Kitts playing on its own, Nevis playing on its own, Anguilla, the Dominica, the Grenadiers, all of them were playing on their own. And therefore, it unearthed a lot of talent, right? That's the key. We don't have anything like that. And again, you don't have to have guys traveling St. Kitts to St. Lucian's on one place. Stanford gave you the model. Everybody came to Sticky Wicket, Coolidge. I do believe it should be named after Andy Roberts, that ground. But that's a discussion for another day. That's supposed to be this Andy Roberts ground, even though it's now owned by the West Indies Cricket Board without the input of Andy with Sir Alan Stanford. That ground would not be in existence, never mind for the West Indies Cricket Board to own it. So I'm simply saying, I think that's the true honor for him. But Stanford gave us a model of how this thing can be done, how you could marry cricket and carnival and take it to the next level, to the international world. The T20 is primetime cricket. But to unearth the talent, the franchise system is not the one. You must have a farm system. Just like baseball, just like you must have a farm system, just like I talk about the university program. You must have a farm system. So therefore, the Leeward Island tournament, or the Windward Island tournament, or the T20 tournament, and you don't again have to have us traveling back and forth and have those big. The tournament could be hosted in one area, one place, And we just show you that you could have 33 games over a 20-day period in less than a month. That's the amount of games you can have with 6 teams. So therefore, it can be done. So why can't we do it and unearth some talent so that we could say, listen to me, this youngster from Nevis, he's a good all-rounder, he's a good wicket keeper, this is a good spinner, because he has shown the talent playing for his territory in the farm system. So therefore, the franchise now, the professional league can pick him up and he can be given a professional contract. That's what you need to do. So I'm not going to stay here and say, oh, it's the CPL. I am simply saying we need to understand that we can do it if we want to make the investment. The investment in cricket for careers. One cricket contract can change the GDP of many of these islands. One. You understand? One football contract, you will know, Carl, a Dwight York contract for Manchester United could change the GDP of Tobago. You know? So what is wrong with we getting one person signed for Manchester United or one person signed for the Mumbai Indians? You understand? One contract making more than $1 million US to go back home to Jamaica or go back home to wherever is a significant injection of money in that economy. So we need to begin to say, listen to me, this is a career. How could we do it? So yes, and T20 cricket has been unearthing talent, but you must go back to the Stanford in 2007, the Stanford T20, and see the number of players who came through that system and why we are doing pretty okay. Not only in the leagues, the professional leagues, but as a team, West Indies is doing. What is the similar investment in ODI or in Test cricket? There isn't any. There isn't any incentive. And again, I'm going to tell administrators, the game is not about you, it's about the players. So please find ways of giving more. And I don't want to hear a company, oh, they're making so much money that this is. No. You don't have a product to sell unless you have cricketers. And when you sell the products, you will recognize that even the Supreme Court in the United States now say that the basketball players and so on in the college system should be able to have endorsements and be paid, because it is only fair and right when you're making multi-million. The sports entertainment market is a multi-billion-dollar market. And it's only fair that some of the communities, the poor black communities and so on, get a piece of the pie. And therefore, this is what I'm asking, is that we find ways of getting some of that television dollars and marketing dollars back into the small communities to develop and to help people and help in the schools and help elsewhere. So I'm simply saying it takes an integrated approach. But what is missing is nothing less than, is nothing other than the political will. And when I say political, I don't mean official government. Politics for me is about policy making. And whoever makes policy, whether it's umbrella organization like boards or parents or whoever making the policy to govern the talent, they are the one who need the political will, because policy making is politics is the definition of politics for me.
Vernon,
that is why OnDrive was formed. That's why Carl Blankendale and Vernon Springer decided to launch the OnDrive platform to have a view from Chesley Hamilton and many other folks around the world understand what the business concept is for sports. Because you hit the nail on the head, Chesley. Our sports administrators are jealous of the players, male and female, the amount of money that they're making. And the comments they pass sometimes is startling. Oh, when I used to play. Nobody cares about when you used to play. You're managing $1 billion industry sport game. And so you have to respect that, Cal. In fact, let's look at Shimon Hetmeyer. His first contract, Chesley, was $1.2 million US, IPL. Just as what you were talking about. So he goes back to Guyana with 1.2 million US. Now,
That's $200 million Guyanese money.
Okay. you see what you're talking about, Chesley, about GDP? That's the sort of kind of money that we're talking about. You look at somebody like a Andrew Russell. You look at somebody like a Sunil Narayan. You see somebody like a DJ Bravo who's played 500 T20 international games. You try and see if you could evaluate a man playing 500 T20 international games. How can you be jealous of that man and be concerned about how much money he makes?
No. And that is the thing. Politicians want it both ways. They want to be in charge of the public purse, and they still want to be in charge of the private purse. No. You are the enabler. Create the environment for which the private sector can strive. And you are the enabler, and you are the one who deals with the public purse. And once we understand that, we have enough talent in the Caribbean to do anything we put our minds to.
Yeah, I definitely, this has been great because I want to have Chesley back on a different segment, Vernon, on the value of sports, because he has such knowledge and teaching us and talking and educating the region about the value, because an administrator is not going to make as much as a player, because the player is the one that brings the fans and the sponsors to your company or your product.
Let's talk. Sorry.
Yeah, in the end way, an administrator will make more than a player if you're the owner of the team. So you have to earn the NFL team or the franchise or the baseball team or be the owners of Manchester United. Otherwise, it's always going to be the players that's going to make more than the chief executive, even though you're very responsible. But without the player, no one knows the chief executive officer.
But you just hit the nail on the head. That is what caused the revolution in cricket. Because, as Ian Chappell put it, the guy who was moving the side screen and the guy who was at the gate were making more than the cricketers, the Australian cricketers. And that is what caused the Australian cricketers to approach Kerry Packer. And from there on, the professionalization of cricket began. So let us begin to understand what this is about. Cricket is no longer just entertainment for the masters on the plantation. And that was the problem. So we move from that. I want to see the day when Warner Park will use the Citizenship for Investment program in St. Kitts to market 1,000 passports to guys in India and Pakistan and so on at $250,000 a passport to develop the Warner Park venue as the Sugar Bowl, right? Putting in a hotel with suites where you could overlook the game from the northern end. And Carl, I think you will come on down and buy one of those suites so that you could view the game from your corporate box, that suite, and watch an international game. That is it. And because you're in football, that's the northern side looking down to the southern end. But now that there is no Bastia High School, Vernon, the other side of the ground, we could put in a football field so that if St. Kitts is playing the Bahamas or Bermuda in a football game, he could then buy the suite on the other end so that he could overlook the football field as well, Vernon. These are the things that I want to see. These are not things that are pie in the sky. These are things that happens at the Sky Dome in Toronto. These are things that is happening from the bubble in England. So we have an opportunity to get it right if we want to do it. So I am simply saying I am not far-fetched. You understand? If you sell 400 passports at $250,000 each, that's $100 million. Never mind 1,000 passports. That's the kind of money you could have to develop the sport, dealing with. You could get inside their medical center. You could get in there, desalination plant, water treatment plant, all of these sort of things right in there, and start your sewage system for downtown historic Bastia. That's the kind of money I'm talking about, and it's out there. But if you can use cricket and the CPL to market the program, you're in the money. So you ask me to talk about business, I just throw it out there. Okay? And I don't care where you take it. I don't care who runs with it. Just do it. It's free. I don't have no pattern on it. Vernon, you may have a pattern on this book, but I don't have no pattern on the ideas. I just want it to be done.
My brother, it has been insightful. And you know, we can talk all morning. We can talk about cricket. For Cal, I told Cal about you, but he's got an eye opener now in terms of, and you are going to be our partner on our platforms, whether it be football, cricket, business, or sports. So we know that you'll be around for a very long time. In fact, let me say to you on OnDrive, we are planning to be able to make sure that we have some assessment and some analysis of the West Indies during the World Cup campaign. And you are one of our guests that at the end of the daily games, whenever they're being played, once you are available and you're not in court, that we'll have you on our panel along with people like John the Dentist Maynard and Mally Richards. We're going to create our own dynasty to talk about the West Indies performances during the World Cup. So for Cal, this has been really an eye-opener. And like I said, that's why the formation of the OnDrive came, the value of sports and football insight, is to be able to make sure that we create new voices with new ideas.
And Gordon, lastly, the West Indies team, I probably would have just flipped Robbie Rampal for as a traveling reserve for Jason Holder. That's the only change I would have made.
We'll have another discussion on that when the time comes around. When we start our first game for the build-up of the World Cup.
No other wicketkeeper put up their hands, so therefore the Spice Man was a showing.
I got you. And like I said, we just have to remind the folks that West Indies are the defending champions. So the team is selected already, and let's rally with the men in the maroon. And trust me, that team has something to prove to the world.
And I believe they will do it with guys like Russell and Fabian Allen batting behind. And I do believe that we could go guns. Chase putting up his hand and saying, "Listen to me, I go bat number 3 in this team, and let the guns bat around me." I think we'll do it.
But there's a pressure situation, Chesley, because there's some scare tactics happening around the world. We just saw a tour cancelled by New Zealand. And I was saying to Cal that the sort of security that was put in place for that tour, in fact, I think Imran Khan is hurting right now, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, because as he rightly said, he called the Prime Minister of New Zealand. They approved the security for the tour. Yeah. And it's kind of really alarming. And I think, just as you rightly said, Chesley, there are mind games going on. We saw what happened in England, England and India. Yeah. And everybody has their big prize on this ICC T20 World Cup, whether we like it or not. New Zealand have been bruised up on their Bangladesh tour. They're going into a tour with Pakistan, and Pakistan is bubbling with confidence. And they don't want to go into the World Cup as being bruised even more by Pakistan. And so the best thing to say, hey, let's see if we could be able to pull out of this tour because things don't look good. And that is my thought process, Chesley. I don't know how you feel on it.
But they're going to be these kind of things. And that is why I don't want our cricketers to get burnt out coming out of the IPL in such a pressure cooker time, going into the CPL, and then going into the IPL and then having to, I don't want them to be burnt out. So I am worried about the time management and what will be happening. And I hope that they will be okay and we don't have any breakdowns, especially Andre Russell, because he's always injury prone. I really want him to be fit. And that is why I would flip Robbie Rampal for Jason Holder to give me that option in the event that Russell needs a game off or rest. I have that still.
Robbie Rampal says he has some unfinished business for Cricket West Indies, so we'll wait and see. Cal, it's your moment to be able to
take nothing from him. He did well in the tournament and he produced and he showed that he can even bowl in the depth. And therefore, with Bravo might be still nursing an injury, it is a good call and he deserves his pick. Take nothing from it. I'm just letting you know what would have been my team. I had Thomas in the running, but Thomas keeping He's still keeping from behind the batsman as opposed to outside the off stump. You know, with his foot, his left foot in line with the off stump, and then keeping wide of the off stump is just a little adjustment he has to make, and I think he will be okay. But at this age, he should have already known that, man. Lord.
We break it down to the coaches.
Yeah. I told Butcher, the director of West Indies cricket, what's Butcher here?
Roland Butcher from Barbados.
Roland Butcher from Barbados. I told Roland Butcher from Barbados, our problem in the Caribbean is not talent, it's coaches. And he watched me strange. I said, yes, coaches. I told him that even with my eyes closed and have on a blindfold, Bumrah coming off of 5 steps cannot get me. All I need is somebody to tell me when you reach the umpire. He cannot get me. I am serious. Nobody coming off of 4 steps, bowling with one hand, though not using the left hand, could get me. And I'm dead serious.
Cal, on that note, Cal.
Yeah. On that note, some powerful words, and it's been a pleasure. I think we found the perfect host to assist you on any cricketing topics here in On Drive, coming straight from the heart, from the communities. I'm quite certain a lot of people, just like Chesley, have similar opinions or their own version. But we want to give the fans and the spectators a voice. And having heard that you've seen cricket in so many different parts and so many different islands, we have to remember the players appreciate you, Chesley, and everyone else, because no one wants to play in an empty stadium. So every time you make it to a ground or you turn on the TV, that allows the player to feel special, because playing in an empty stadium, whether you're a schoolboy or in a community team, when you turn up, there's no one there, you don't perform the best way you can because there's no pressure on you. So you just go through the motions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, man. There's only one thing that allows me to lose sleep is West Indies cricket. Nothing else. Not even the law at this stage of my career. All right? Not politics, not the law. The only thing that caused me to lose sleep at this stage is West Indies cricket, no matter where they are around the world. I follow them. Thank you.
And on that note, the Caribbean Sports Management Entertainment Group would really just like to salute Chesley Hamilton for joining us on the OnDrive platform. And you can view this interview on all our social media platforms. This is just only part 1 and the first edition with Chesley Hamilton. Look out for more Chesley Hamilton in terms of his video analysis on cricket. Notice what I said, not just West Indies cricket, but cricket. And trust me, they're going to be very insightful. Thank you very much, my brother, and God bless you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Kat.